Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Courtney Ryan, and today we are taking a look at an article titled, Who Has It Worse, Single Men or Single Women? Now, I want to preface by saying I was pleasantly surprised by this article, as I think it does a great job showcasing both sides of the equation, which is what I typically try to do here in my videos as well. So let's take a look at this, and I'll of course share some of my thoughts as we go through. So, unpacking the challenges of modern dating culture. She gives a little intro here. Okay, who has it worse, single guys or single girls? Here are 4 common issues that men find in women and 4 common issues that women find in men. Ladies first, which I'm sure you guys will be happy about. Men have many gripes with modern day women, several of which I've observed within my generation. Here are a few of the most troublesome complaints. Number 1 being, every woman deserves a 10. Ain't that the truth? I'll be the first to admit women's standards have gotten unrealistically high. We've been sold the lie that every woman deserves a 10, and we should never settle for less than we deserve. Our friends cheer us on, and modern society supports us in our search for Mr. Right. But nobody ever gives us the reality check that maybe Mr. Right doesn't exist. Or maybe there's no such thing as a perfect person. Or maybe not every woman is a 10. I think not only this, that a lot of women think that we all deserve a 10, right? But that we are all a 10, because society tells us this. Society tells us that we're perfect. Society tells us that there's nothing wrong with us, that, men are the problem. And I see this in a lot of different corners of the internet. Now, are they all like that? Absolutely not. But I do think this is happening quite a bit. This is especially harmful when men do approach us because we're so used to being cheered on for our unrealistically high standards that we miss a good guy when he's right in front of us. Yeah, I think a lot of times we just don't get a reality check that sometimes we need. It's, oh, queen, you deserve this, never settle, never compromise. When the reality is that even the most wonderful, healthy relationship requires some level of compromise and settling. Settling is not a bad thing. I think a lot of standards and expectations have become so unrealistic that there is quite literally no way that anyone could live up to them. I think there are, however, things that women are looking for that are completely justified, and they're not unrealistic and they're not unreasonable. And I don't think men should be complaining about those things specifically, but there are definitely a lot of unrealistic expectations that are happening that are not helping anyone, men or women. And I'll be honest, delusional feels like a bit of an understatement here. Like I said, every relationship requires compromise because nobody's perfect. However, I will say I don't think all of the expectations that women have for men are unrealistic. There are really some things women are asking for that are the bare minimum. Responsibility, reliability, emotional maturity. I really do not think that that is too much to ask for. However, there are plenty of men out there who possess these traits. They might just not be the men that you're actually going after or that you're attracted to. So it's when you pair the list of the realistic things with the unrealistic requirements where it becomes a bit of an issue. And or women are just prioritizing the wrong things altogether. But I think an important distinction to make here is that there are wonderful men in the world who possess all of the realistic traits and reasonable traits that you should be looking for in a partner and in a relationship. But you're ignoring those men because they're not necessarily who you're attracted to maybe. And instead of just going for the men who already have the traits that you want your partner to possess, you're going for the men who do not, and you're trying to change them into a man who has those traits, when the reality is that you can't change people. And instead of trying to change someone or mold them into what you want them to be, even if those things would maybe make them better, right? We can't change people. And instead, you should just be going for people who have the traits that you're looking for. The next one is contradictions. You want a classic gentleman who opens doors, works hard, and provides for you, but he also has to accept that you don't need no man and want to do everything yourself. You want a man who works a high-paying job so you can stay at home, but he should still have tons of time for you and 3 kids. You want a man who tons of other women are attracted to, but somehow he's waiting around and available just for you. Come on, ladies, make it make sense. Yeah, I think we often cherry pick here the things that work in our favor and try to leave everything that doesn't. Which doesn't work, again, because there are compromises that need to be made. If you want a man who is a very high earner, who has ambition and drive and who does really well financially, you have to accept the fact that he's probably not going to have as much time to spend with you because he's going to be so busy working, right? We can't just have it all. And I think we've also been sold a lie that you can have it all. You can do it all. You can be it all. And while some people have that going for them and that's wonderful and that worked out, I think we really need to be better at understanding what we're asking for and the pros and cons that come with that. Like this says, you want a classic gentleman who opens doors, works hard, provides for you, but he also has to accept that you don't need no man and want to do everything yourself. I think a lot of women have this boss babe mentality of, I don't need a man and all men are garbage, but then are confused when they're not attracting the type of men that they're looking for. You gotta be the love that you seek, right? A lot of contradictions happening, both for men and women. And again, I know it seems like I'm harping on the women right now. I'm just going through this as it's laid out here. And also the issues with men are going to be after these 4 about women. So men, your time is coming. But the next one is, I am the table mentality. Men can never ask a woman, what do you bring to the table? Yeah, and I wouldn't recommend asking that just because you should be able to observe someone and see what they bring to the relationship or the table. You shouldn't have to ask. If you have to ask, there's your answer. We have a laundry list of what a man should bring to the table, and when asked the reverse, we're flabbergasted. We assume that being a woman is enough to make us a prize. Yeah, because that's what we've been conditioned to believe, right? Just being a woman is enough. Showing up and looking pretty is enough. It's really unhealthy. With all the standards and requirements many women have, we seldom stop and ask whether or not we are the best version of ourselves. We are quick to pass judgment, but rarely take a look at ourselves and what we could be doing better. This line of thinking has resulted in many single, disgruntled women and many single, hopeless men. Yeah, this I am the table mentality is a huge problem. We have an extensive checklist of what we are looking for, but when it comes to what we bring to the equation, just the act of existing is enough? Not quite. Again, you have to be the partner you seek. Another thing that ties into this point that I think a lot of women don't necessarily understand is that men and women often bring different value to a relationship. There's some overlap, of course, right? But it's often different. What men and women are looking for in a partner are often different, and there's nothing wrong with that. So really think to yourself, are you someone that the person you want to be with would want to be with too? If you're a woman who's looking for a high-earning man, men are not looking for high-earning women just because you're looking for a high-earning man. That does not make you a good partner in a man's eyes. Do you possess the qualities that men are looking for? The next one is modern feminism. It shouldn't be controversial to say that generally men want feminine women. Modern women have strayed away from classical femininity. Yeah, because we are working girlies now. I don't know if any of you have ever worked at a job, but it doesn't really allow you to be your most soft feminine self. Even when I was working in an office, I had to turn on my more masculine side because I had a lot of work to do. I had to get work done. Being Miss Soft Girl who is taking care of her home, going to Pilates, it doesn't really work at work. So it makes sense then why women have become more masculine. We care more about climbing the corporate ladder, selling our souls to a job that doesn't love us in return, with the hope that somehow our bank account will make up for a lonely, childless retirement. There isn't anything beautiful, feminine, or alluring about this lifestyle. It's no surprise men don't find it attractive. All facts. What works for one person might not work for another, so I'm not trying to make a bunch of generalizations here, but I do think a lot of women are waking up to the fact that work isn't all it's cut out to be. But a lot of households now can't even afford to have only one person working. So it's honestly unfortunate. But yeah, this says, it shouldn't be controversial to say that generally men want feminine women. I kind of can't believe that this is a controversial thing to say either. It's not rocket science. And I think going further than all this, a lot of women just don't know, or honestly just don't care, what men find attractive. And I guess this wouldn't be a big deal if you weren't expecting men to know or care what women find attractive. But let's be honest, that's not really what's happening. A lot of men care what women find attractive. And I think for a long time women did care, but I think now the pendulum has swung the opposite direction, and I think a lot of women are past the point of caring what men think, or what men like, or what men care about. Which again, is fine if you're not looking for a relationship or don't want to be married someday, but I think if you want to be in a healthy relationship, you should know what the opposite sex is looking for, and also how to be a good partner. I see a lot of videos online about what men need to work on, videos of what women are looking for in a man in terms of style, confidence, attitude, I mean, all the things. With a comment section that, supports and encourages it. Of course, there are always men who are mad in the comment section, just like my videos. But normally whenever I see a video about what men find attractive or what men are looking for, what women need to do better, if I see them at all, they're definitely more rare. The comment section is scary. But yeah, I definitely think those 4 things we went over are things that I've also heard from you guys, of struggles you're dealing with women, or areas where you think women could improve. And again, the point of this video is not to bash women or to bash men or to say one side is the problem. I know the title of the video is Who Has It Worse, Single Men or Single Women, which is reflected by the article title here. But I'm going to make a greater point at the end of the video that I hope you all really resonate with and learn something from. So now for the gentlemen. You didn't think you were going to get off scot-free, did you? As many complaints as men have about women these days, women have complaints as well. Number 1, sex addiction. This is one of the biggest problems that men are facing today. Of course, men want sex. That's nothing new. The problem, though, is the complete lack of self-control and self-respect when it comes to a person's sexual appetite. I've talked about this before in my sexual discipline video. If you haven't watched that, go watch it, because I go really in detail there. Sex is readily available at our fingertips these days, but consuming porn, paying for OnlyFans subscriptions, and going to strip clubs is not doing men any favors in the dating world. No, it's making you more lonely and more single than ever before, because you are receiving instant gratification and fulfilling your sexual needs without having to leave your house or do anything that makes you uncomfortable. Anyway, most women find these habits disturbing and off-putting. I would agree. If you're a masculine man of self-control and self-respect, you shouldn't be a slave to your sexual appetite. There's a lot to unpack with this one, and again, I've talked about this before in previous videos that I've done about this subject, where I get really in depth. But the rise in single men that aren't having sex is certainly contributing to this issue. And before you get ahead of me, I'm not saying boo-hoo, men aren't having sex, but I do think this is actually a huge issue that we shouldn't ignore because of the combination of this with the lack of self-discipline and self-respect. I mean, a lot of really scary things that happen in the world are because of a man not being able to control himself. And that truly shouldn't be controversial to say. It's disturbing when a woman shows interest and men automatically get sexual right away and cannot control themselves. I know so many women personally who have matched with men on dating apps and the first message they send is something disgusting. And that's not doing you any favors, guys. And I know so many of you are wonderful and you truly don't even need to hear that, but this is happening far more than I think people realize. Again, because a lack of self-control, a lack of self-discipline. And I am not in any way, shape, or form telling you guys to not have a sex drive. Okay, that is biological. It is normal and healthy to have a sex drive. But I think it's also incredibly important to learn how to control yourself and how to have self-discipline. And if you are someone who is consuming porn, paying for OnlyFans subscriptions, or going to strip clubs, I would highly encourage you to stop doing those things. Because I do not think it is helping in any way. Again, I've done videos about this where I go much more in depth. For the sake of time, I'm not going to today, but I feel very strongly about these topics and I've discussed them extensively. The next one is hypocrisy part 2. Hypocrisy has no gender. Men want women to be sexually available, but also don't want them to be promiscuous or easy. It's the whole, she should be willing to sleep with me early on, but she shouldn't have done that with other guys. That is a bit contradictory. Again, make it make sense, fellas. Men don't want to deal with the responsibilities that come with sleeping around, pregnancy, STDs, and emotional attachments, to name a few. Yeah, there's certainly truth here. If you're looking for a woman with a low body count who isn't promiscuous, which a lot of you are, you state that you are, but then you reject her if she wants to wait to be intimate with you, I think that's contributing to the problem, right? I don't think hookup culture benefits women at all. That's just my opinion. All it does is give men access to you without a commitment. No thanks. And there are so many more double standards and contradictions and hypocrisy than just involving sexual things, right? There are so many double standards with men and women, but I don't think focusing on, well, he can do it and I can't, it doesn't really help you, honestly. I don't think that's something that you should be focusing on. I think men and women, we're different. Okay, we have very different life experiences. Our experiences with dating are different. And I don't think trying to prove anyone wrong or, well, I'm going to do all the things that men do because they can do it and I can't. Like, I don't think that really helps women. I don't think women realize how harmful this specifically, what we're talking about in this article, is for women. Just because men do it doesn't mean you should do it. And vice versa. Again, there are so many different examples of where this could be applicable. Men and women have different life experiences. Men and women are different. Men and women experience dating differently. Of course, there's overlap. Of course, there's nuance. We have to leave room for the human experience as always. But I don't think it really helps you to fixate on this kind of stuff. So all I'm going to say about this type of thing is just don't be a hypocrite, right? If you're a guy who's looking for a girl who is wholesome and who hasn't slept with a ton of people, that's fine. You're allowed to want that. But just don't be a hypocrite. I would say the same thing to women. Okay, the next one is the self-motivation deficit. It doesn't help that young men lack motivation. It's hard to be attracted to a man whose sole hobby is playing Halo Infinite in his parents' basement at 30 plus years old. It's hard to be attracted to a man who has no ambition beyond folding t-shirts or a man who shares the backseat of his car with a 2-week-old pizza box. No woman wants to go into a relationship expecting to act like the guy's mom. Motivation, hard work, and drive are incredibly attractive and also increasingly rare in this generation of single young men. Oof, yeah, harsh truths here, but I think it needs to be said. You have got to create a life for yourself that you feel confident bringing a woman into. Ambition and drive are important traits that women look for. Now remember, I already told women what they need to work on and improve on, so I want you to take some accountability for yourself here too. It's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to admit that you have some things you need to work on. If any of the things I just said sound like you, maybe we've got some work to do, and that's okay. Of course, again, I think we need to leave room for nuance. Not everyone is living to work, right? Some people prioritize work more than others. It's important to find someone that you're aligned with on that. You know, if a woman is really successful, she wants to be doing very well financially, she wants to be a stay-at-home mom and be able to have a one-income household, then she probably should be looking for a man who does well, who has ambition and drive, and who prioritizes his career. But there are a lot of women who are just looking for a normal life, right? It's okay to have a normal job, to make an average salary, to live a normal life. There are people who are looking for that too. Stability, peace, consistency. Some people do not live to work, and that is okay. But I think what's more important there is to find someone that is aligned with you instead of trying to change someone. It's really important to have values that align, and finances and the way that you live your life, similar lifestyles, contributions to the world, those things should be aligned. And the next one is the masculinity crisis. In a social climate where the words toxic masculinity are thrown around left and right, it isn't surprising that men no longer have a clear sense of what it means to be masculine. Men aren't taking initiative because they don't want to be perceived as predators. Men don't want to be accused of mansplaining, so they lose their backbone and don't stand for anything. Men don't want to offend anyone, and in the process, forget how to be men. In practice, women don't find this passive attitude attractive at all. Women want masculine men. This is another really hypocritical thing that I see online, right? You know, women want masculine men by their own descriptions of what they're looking for. They want a guy with ambition, drive, who's responsible, who's a leader, but then call masculinity toxic. Don't get me wrong, there are definitely some things that I would consider to be toxic too, but it's not masculinity as a whole. We need masculine men. The topic of masculinity and femininity is so intricate and nuanced because it really depends on the culture that you live in, where you are in the world, what you are looking for in a partner, right? And I think a lot of people don't realize that we all have a balance of masculine and feminine energy. A woman has masculine and feminine energy. A man has masculine and feminine energy. And this whole topic gets very cringe and very astrology when you see a lot of people talk about it online. So I'm hesitant to even go there, and I don't want to spend the whole time talking about it. I've done videos on masculinity and femininity before where I break this down and explain it a little bit more, but I think people are really confused about this. And again, they cherry pick what works for them and leave what doesn't. It doesn't work like that. But if you're asking what is a masculine man, well, standards of manliness or masculinity are going to vary across different cultures, ethnic groups, subcultures, periods in history. In Western society specifically, traits that are traditionally viewed as masculine are things like independence, leadership, courage, strength, assertiveness. I would say a man who leads, a man who takes initiative, a man whose words and actions match, who has integrity, a man who is reliable, who makes you feel safe and secure. And I don't personally think there's anything toxic about that. And quite frankly, I don't necessarily think the traits that people deem as toxic masculinity are actually masculine at all. I think they're just bad qualities. I think they're bad qualities that are coming from bad role models. I think a lot of men feel like they don't really have many people to look up to. Like anyone who is a positive male role model gets attacked online for being toxic. Of course, there are some who are a little bit toxic, I will say, but not all of them. There are a lot of really wonderful male role models out there. There are a lot of really wonderful traits that are masculine, the same way there are a lot of really wonderful traits that are feminine. And it's okay to be a mix of both. You need a balance. So the end of this article says, tiebreaker, men and women both have their issues. If you're a woman, women have it worse. If you're a man, men do. It's all about perspective. Both sides of the coin are doing a lot wrong and contributing to the dating problems we now face as a culture and society. Until we focus on ourselves and become the best we can be as individuals, the dating circus will continue. Amen, sister, to the woman who wrote this article. I was pleasantly surprised to see an unbiased article where both sides were highlighted, and at the end we come together and say, it's all about perspective. And what I really want you to take away from this video is focusing on who has it worse won't really make your situation any better or easier. Actually, I can almost guarantee it will make it worse because you're going to be so fixated on playing the victim that you take no action to make your situation better. And although it can certainly be helpful to acknowledge the areas where men and women are falling short in terms of dating and relationships, there's some overlap, there are some that are different. I don't think we get anywhere by failing to take accountability for the role that we play in the process. The struggles may look different. That doesn't necessarily mean that one has it worse than the other. And even if one does have it worse than the other, again, fixating on that, I don't think really helps you in the long run. I think what helps you is looking yourself in the mirror, being really honest, taking accountability, understanding what you are contributing, the problems, maybe the positives and the negatives. I think we can also note that just because someone else has it worse doesn't mean that your struggle is irrelevant, right? It might help put things into perspective for you, but it's still a struggle nonetheless. We're all living our own human experience, and our perspectives are shaped through that. Do the best you can and be kind to others in the process. And at the end of the day, I think we also need to remember that we can't control other people. We can only control ourselves and the way in which we choose to respond and react to the world and the struggles around us. And I promise you, your dating struggles will not get better if you play the victim and take no accountability for the role that you play in it. Given the fact that my audience is 94 or 95% male, it fluctuates. I see a lot of comments on my videos saying things like, well, women need to take accountability and women need to do this, and I totally agree with you. I think the issues we talked about here that women are contributing are very real and a very big issue. You cannot say that women need to take accountability and then fail to take accountability yourself. Pointing your fingers at each other, playing the victim, acting like an entire gender is the problem and you play no role will not help you. I would say this to both men and women. The women who get online and say all men are trash, all men are the problem, women are perfect angels, you're wrong. The men who get online and say all women are the problem, men are doing the best they can, while that may be true for some men, that is not true for all men, and you are also wrong. Men and women both play a role in the modern dating struggles that are occurring at this moment in time. And the only way that it is going to get better if we as individuals acknowledge the role that we play and try to be better and try to improve. And so many of you are doing that. So many of you, that's why you watch my videos, to try to be a better partner, to try to figure out the areas that you could improve on to be the partner that you seek. Again, are you someone that the person you want to be with would want to be with too? Physically, mentally, emotionally. So in conclusion, who has it worse, single men or single women? The answer is that it doesn't matter. Men are experiencing struggles, Women are experiencing struggles, and the only way that it will get better for both genders is if both genders do better. That's it. But I would like to acknowledge the fact that if you are here and watching this video and you're open-minded and you're listening and you are someone who is really trying to improve and also work on some of these issues that I just talked about, I got to give you a round of applause, because it requires a deep level of self-awareness and open-mindedness to be doing that. And so many people aren't doing that, and that's why these issues will prevail. And to conclude here, I also want to say one more thing. My channel is not a place where I want you to come to reinforce your negative beliefs about women. I want you to leave my channel and feel better about the fact that there are good women in the world. And we can acknowledge the areas where women fall short and the areas where women could improve and call out poor behavior without saying that all women are bad, right? I'm not going to lie to you, I'm not going to pander, and I'm not going to grift. There are people who do those things on YouTube, okay? You can easily go watch them. I am not one of them. I will not do it, and I will sit here and tell you that men are part of the problem too. It is not all women. We can acknowledge that without picking a side. We can call out poor behavior from both men and women without bashing each other or hating each other or be bitter. If you're looking for someone to lie to you and pander to you and grift, I'm not the one. I physically could not look myself in the mirror or sleep at night if I was doing that to you. So I just want to say that I've done videos in the past that didn't land the way I anticipated, and I shut that crap down because it didn't feel good. I don't want to be reinforcing your negative beliefs. I want my channel to be a place where you come and you feel better about your dating life, about yourself, about your style, about your confidence. I don't want you to leave feeling worse. So I hope this video helped paint a picture that men and women are both playing a role here. And blaming women or blaming men is not going to get you anywhere. Be the best you that you can be, and the world around you will change. So anyway, I've gone on long enough. That's all I have for this video. If you liked it or found it helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to be in the loop for when I release new content. If you haven't already, be sure to follow me over on Instagram at Courtney Christine Ryan. I love connecting with all of you guys over on there as well. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I would love to hear your personal struggles or your experiences or what you learned from this video. Again, thank you for being here and having an open mind if you are someone who is doing that. Thank you for being kind. I would encourage you to do that down in the comment section, help some other guys out, get a productive conversation going, all of the good things. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.